Hey, what's up you guys? I just wanted to do a new video today with you, and I think it's been enough time into the season that I can talk about it. As you know, recently Strive dropped Season 3 with a new character, and a major balance patch swept the game in a big way, adding one of the most polarizing mechanics thus far, Wild Assault. So this thing is basically like if Drive Rush was pumped with adrenaline, and I also think it's the key to understanding what the landscape of the game is going to look like and what characters will be incredibly strong. First and foremost, Wild Assault comes in 3 variations. Orange, which is extremely fast and cancelable, making it amazing for combos and pressure. Blue, which is a little bit slower than its orange variant, but staggers on hit and guard crushes on block, letting you create some advantageous block strings. It's also cancelable, just like Orange Wild Assault. And finally, White Wild Assault has the same speed as Blue, but gets the power of being completely strike invulnerable after a few frames, at the cost of no cancelability. All 3 of these also sap your burst meter on hit, and when you use it to break the wall, gives us a hard knockdown to continue running offense. In my opinion, Orange is by far and away the best version of this tool. Being able to quickly use it and get a burst safe combo to confirm and break the wall, as well as the added functionality of extending block strings and giving us a hard knockdown, is amazing. I usually talk about characters as being knives or rounded tools. A character like Milia, for example, is very much a knife. She gets a hard knockdown, she throws a disc, and she's really good at opening you up. But the other sides of her can be a little more mediocre. Sol is a really strong all-rounder. His strike throw is really strong, but it's not quite as cutting as the hard mix as someone like Bridget gets, right? At least not without meter. Well, Orange Wild Assault basically chucks all of that in the garbage and turns Sol from a multi-tool into a grenade. Wild Assault is a tool that can cover your character's flaws if you're lucky enough to have the right one. Looking at Sol further, we can take weaknesses from last patch that kept Sol in check and look at how Wild Assault has created a massive Sol-shaped problem. Taking a look at the post-wall break situation, Sol used to only get a very situational safe jump and only on some characters without meter to back up his options. Now that we use Wild Assault to break the wall, this gives us spare meter, often giving us the opportunity to do a TK Blue RC, forcing a safe jump and mix at the same time. If the mix lands, then we get a full wall break and repeat the process over and over again. Before, the only characters with positive bonus infinites were Chip and Ram, as far as I'm aware. Now, thanks to Wild Assault, we can use it to fill the gap in meter gain, and continue pressuring the offense using Banner Revolver Mix or BRC Fuzzies. When one of those hits, we break the wall and start the whole thing over. Even when Orange Wild Assault's not doing any of that, it lets us run a failed frame trap or a poke with bad special cancels, like 5H or 6S, and keep pressuring with our absolute best tools, far slash and close slash. And while I don't think that's the strongest use of Wild Assault ever, it's still something that Orange Wild Assault is uniquely good at. Finally, in the past, characters didn't really get mid-screen conversions off pokes, unless your name was Nagarayuki or Happy Chaos. Now, Orange Wild Assault lets Sol convert off pretty much even the smallest buttons, like 2K, and get a full wall break from round start, starting our meter looping situation as early as the first touch in the game, even when those touches aren't meaningful, like hitting your opponent with a slash or a heavy slash button. And when you do hit those buttons, you get more reward than you've ever gotten before. Somehow they reduced the damages patch, but also created a patch where Sol gets the best reward he's ever gotten off of his mid-screen pokes. Remember as well that Wild Assault is continuously locking you away from your burst as this happens, so what about the other Wild Assaults? They've got to be good, right? Well, as much as having a new move is good for everybody, the problem with Blue and White Wild Assault is that they're a little bit slower. Only 4 frames slower, which isn't much, yeah, but also means that they're now above the reaction threshold. Usually at about 18 frames is when we consider something reactable, which means not that you'll get reacted to every single time and be thrown out of Blue Wild Assault, but that a really good player will be able to do it at least sometimes. Blue Wild Assault also, despite guard crushing, pushes you pretty far away from your opponent, so unless you're some kind of set play character like Bridget or Asuka, you're not going to be getting the greatest pressure string after it's blocked with FD. And even if you are one of those characters, sometimes FD can screw your whole situation up, like with Bridget. Couple this with the fact that level 3 and 4 moves can never make Blue Wild Assault gapless, and now you're creating holes that simply don't exist for its orange counterpart. White Wild Assault, especially having the condition of being nearly impossible to combo with, means that most hits won't amount to much other than a hard knockdown, and it's already on characters that struggle with the conversions, like Potemkin. There are some exceptions, of course. For Blue Wild Assault, Jacko, Asuka, and Happy Chaos can all make their Wild Assaults gapless thanks to having specials that can special cancel, as well as Jacko's minions adding block stun to their block strings. This makes Wild Assault extremely strong for them, though I still don't think it's really as good as Orange Wild Assault. The most important part of winning the season, I think, comes down to your use of this mechanic, And I think that even despite the exceptions I listed, the general ability of Orange Wild Assault to push strong, consistently good situations and shore up combo opportunities with ease is why it will hands down be the most powerful version, at least until the December patch comes and maybe some of this gets fixed. I genuinely think that if you play a character who does not have this tool, and characters that were already weaker in the tier list especially before this patch, you should consider beginning to learn a character that does have an Orange Wild Assault. When considering why, I think that this season's strongest parts will have a game plan that consists of using Burst Lockout with Wild Assault on your pokes, leading those hits to a wall splat, breaking the wall with another Wild Assault, using that saved meter to mix you into another wall break, and if that fails, running positive bonus loops on you until it hits. We saw the beginnings of this strategy last patch with Ram and Chip, and though all three characters are great, I think that Sol is executing this game plan with way more proficiency than any of the others. This is because Banner Revolver is simply a 50-50 on a stick that keeps itself safe during positive bonus pressure, and you get multiple opportunities to run this offense per round after a wall break. Simply put, the strongest game plans in this season, at least in NA, are usually the ones that have extremely consistent and hard to defend against offense that can be auto-piloted into, and a bunch of damage to swing on it with. And even in Japan, the strongest contenders are characters with versatile tools to back up their offense and make every phase of the game consistent. I can't think of any other character that fits the bill more than Sol, and to a lesser extent, the other Orange Wild Assault characters. Naga Ryuki, Asuka, and Happy Chaos come to mind only because their Wild Assaults just buffed their resource management, and they already had amazing conversion ability off stray hits to begin with. I didn't really intend on making this video to beg you to pick Sol for free and easy wins, but honestly, I do think it should be a strong consideration in any competitor's mind this season to pick a character like this if they want to win more consistently under the current volatility of the patch. It may have been pretty obvious to you if you were already a high level player, but if you're more of an intermediate level player, you might be wondering, why is everyone saying Orange Wild Assault is broken? And I hope this was a good answer for you. As we look to the future of the game, I think if you're banking on new characters as well, it's going to hinge largely on what sort of Wild Assault they'll be using and how it buffs their game plan. If a character in the future drops a blue Wild Assault instead of orange, I think it can be a pretty significant factor to how good that character will be before they even come out. If they do release the blue Wild Assault, then I think it'll be likely only good if it synergizes well with their already baked in kit and if they already have good conversions. Keep this in mind in December when the new roster hype starts, and look at this before you should decide to pick the character. Anyways, that's about all I've got. I hope you guys enjoyed the talk. I wanted to make a short video. Season 3 is out, and I hope I gave you some insight on how to formulate your strategy and gauge strength as we push towards Season 3. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I hope you guys have a good one.